Hey, Armand here with your forecast for the week of March 29th, 2021, with a little peek into April as we go along because, well, why not? We can do it. Doesn't cost any more. Doesn't cost me anymore. Doesn't cost you anymore. Let's talk about April while we're here. So we can sort of do two things at once, not kill birds with stones. We don't want to kill birds with stones. We can talk about things. Okay, so this week starts off nebulously. Right? On Monday, we have Mercury meeting Neptune. And this energy, by the time you see this energy is going to be probably dissipating or peaking if you're watching it early on Monday. That's okay. And the if you don't like Mercury retrograde, this is worst. What you have here is not so much deception, not so much intentional deception, although the possibility of some of that. It's more like you can get too enthused with your own ideas or too enthused with other people's ideas, and you kind of feel that there's, it's an exciting kind of, yeah, we can do that. Or maybe it's like a little bit of almost like a paranoid, oh my God, what's going on over there type of thing. In either case, it's just not very realistic energy. And realistic energy is what you need when you're making practical decisions. We're also very close to the full moon. And when you're very close to the full moon, there's a little bit of emotionality that goes with things, a little of overexcitement that goes with things, maybe. So Monday is not a great day for practical stuff, like making this video, I suppose. But it is a really good day for just sort of chilling out, doing some creative projects, concentrate on the process rather than the product. Just enjoy it, brainstorm, get a whole bunch of ideas, and we'll sort them out as the week progresses and as we go forward with things. So that's kind of your strategy as you begin Monday. And we're going to get little vibrations of this as we go along through the week, of course. It's not like it's just a one-time deal. It's not entirely a one-time deal. We're going to revisit it again around Thursday, Friday. So we start the week that way, and then we move into the Scorpio moon Tuesday and Wednesday. It gives us the unique opportunity for the Scorpio moon to sort of settle things down. It's not a great job for the Scorpio moon most days, but most months, but it really is something that will kind of help this month. There's a little hiccup as it opposes Uranus, but really the feel is it's going to be a little bit more grounding, not exactly grounding, but it's going to be a little bit more settled, a little bit more even than the beginning of the week. It's a time to maybe start processing some of the information that comes in. See how you feel about it, at least. Next up, taking us into the weekend, Thursday, April Fools, and Friday, we have the moon in Sagittarius. Now, the moon in Sagittarius will be squaring Mercury and Neptune, so it'll bring back some of this energy. Also, the moon will be in Sagittarius along with the South Node and Juno, and we have the Sun and Venus out in Aries. And so we start to have, we have a lot of fire, a lot of air in the sky. So a lot of ideas. This is a great time for there to be ideas tossed around and so on. That's kind of what the vibe of the end of the week is. Again, is it a great time to sort things out? Well, the moon is next to the South Node, it's square Neptune. So I was like, well, it's not ideal really for it. And then on the weekend itself, we have the last quarter moon and it's in Capricorn. And finally, Saturday, Sunday, finally, we get the sense of like, okay, now we can start to sort things out, grounded, earthy, a little bit more practical. So as we go through the entire week, there's a big sort of, there's a lot of changes that are happening, different flavors. We start out with this sort of nebulous energy on Monday, still coming off of the full moon. Tuesday and Wednesday, things are a little bit more emotional, but also a little bit more directed with some surprises as the moon opposes Uranus. Thursday, Friday, we're going to find some folks getting a little bit more pontificatorous. That's not a word, but I think that would be a good one. We're going to see some folks pontificating and resting on their beliefs and so on, maybe pushing their agenda a little bit, maybe bending the facts a little bit to their advantage. And then the weekend is a little bit more practical. And if you're at work or if you're dealing with things on a workday schedule, isn't that ironic that just as we get to the weekend, we can be a bit more practical? Should be good for, weekend house chores and things like that. Boy, it seems like the light keeps fluctuating on this thing. It's really annoying. So that's the basic feel of it. With the entire pattern of the month that I've been talking about for some time now, we have all the planets really jammed between the very end of Capricorn, where Pluto is, and about 3/4 of the way through Gemini, which is where Mars is. And so they're all kind of jammed together in a wedge. And this week, the moon is moving from being on the opposite side of that wedge, and it's coming in closer to it. And so the feel is one of sort of harvesting, pulling out energies, deciding what's real. Unfortunately, we can't really decide what's real and really know what we have for most of the week. It's a great time to play with ideas. It's a less great time to be making decisions. So just think about it that way. There's a lot of information coming in, but what are you going to do with it? You're not quite sure yet. You got to wait till the weekend. And then the moon gets into that whole gaggle of planets that is there within that wedge. And then there's the busy new moon. The busy new moon is what we have going on there. And instead of being a settled inward time, it's a time of a lot of activity, although it's a lot of activity that we're not necessarily entirely conscious of. Consciousness with this, what we have now, we're very aware around the first quarter moon, pulling away from the planets, and at the last quarter moon as we go back in. The full moon, things are nuts, right? And at the new moon, when things are usually a bit more quiet, they're a little bit nuts again. So we got to look at that last quarter moon and the first quarter moon. It's sort of the time for getting some perspective, but you can gather information all week long. All right, I said enough about that. April in general, as we enter into April, basically speaking, March, the energy kind of ramped up a little bit, and probably I would say the first half of April, more or less, continues to build, continues to be, which is a good springtime for most of the world and so on. It's good that the energy is building. The celestial tensions are kind of more or less static, but slightly building through the first half of April. And then the last half of April, there's a lot of activity. It's sort of this sort of burst of things, a lot of changes that happen right around the, especially the third and fourth. Well, it's the second half of April, isn't it? Right around the third and fourth week of April, we're going to get another influx of energy, as we always see. It's been a bunch of years now. We have a lot of stuff going on at that time. So you really don't have a big rest period coming up, except for like the pandemical quarantine kind of rest that you've been getting for a year now. We don't have a big rest period, but we have the first half of April to kind of deal with things on a, sort of as take them as they come sort of basis, and maybe do some long range planning. As we get to the end of April, it's going to be much more of like deal with things as they come up. Is that clear? I don't know. It was free, right? It was free. It was good. Free is good. See you next week.